Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Excellent. Welcome to the Fayetteville Public Library. My name is Rachel Bright, and I'm a librarian in our Adult Services Department. Thank you to everyone who is here today and everyone who is watching our live stream. I want to remind you that we have program evaluations at the back of the room. If you could take a moment to fill these out, it really helps us bring great programs like this to you in the future. Okay. Today, I'm happy to welcome Laudina Molinix and Suzanne DeLeon Huff to the library. Both are poets from Northwest Arkansas area, and we are very excited to bring two people from the community to share their work with you. Laudina is a graduate of the University of Kansas and Texas Women's University. She is a retired occupational therapist, a master gardener, and a master naturalist. Suzanne holds a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy from Salisbury University and spends her free time taking classes at the University of Arkansas. Please join me in welcoming them.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. This is really fun. I want to thank Rachel and all the library staff for supporting us. I also want to particularly thank Suzanne Underwood Rhodes on the front row here, who's our current Arkansas Poet Laureate. And she was my editor, helped me pull this little book together, and a teacher, and I've become a friend. And also next to her, Michael Blanchard, who is a teacher at UCA, came up from Conway. He's the editor of UCA's literary magazine, Slant. So they've both been incredible support for me. So I want to thank them for coming in particular. Okay. Find my little sheet here. I'm going to start with a poem that was the first one I ever had published. I was working with my little neighbor boy who was in the second grade, and I was arrogant enough to think I could help him. It's called Tutoring James. James wrote, "King was a great American. He helped white people mostly." I said, "Don't you mean King helped black people get the same rights as whites had?" James said, "King showed the whites that blacks are good. Black folks already knew that." Then I'm going to read another one about another boy that I tutor now. And at first, we worked a lot in the Farmington Library, and the librarians were so helpful. They called him by name and encouraged him and just were so kind to him. And when our head librarian, Rachel, left at the end of last year to go to the school system, and my friend heard that, he demanded, and I mean demanded, right then that day we go back to my house, get a nice card, and he wrote on it, and we took it to her. Now, I don't know about you, 11-year-old boy demands to write a thank you note. That shows you the importance of librarians. So this one's called, For my young friend afraid he learns too slowly. Your claim, tallest in class but dumbest, slaps me back hard. Come spring, I'll show you a secret. The largest tree in our grove of redbuds is always the last to bloom, waiting as the welcome first color burst of early spring fades, and we think maybe last year was its last. Then it happens, and its eruption of purple glows more glorious against the plain green leaves of the smaller trees. But it's November now. The cold is back, cloaked in fall color, and nothing about spring seems that important. Okay, the next one I'm going to read, it's called Worth the Whoopin'. And it's kind of a combination of Fayetteville and Farmington. Two of the guys in the poem are from Farmington. Third guy lived at the old Fayetteville City Hospital, just, get my directions, just south here on the far side of the new addition of the library. And wonderful people were at City Hospital. So it's called Worth the Whoopin'. In the summer, in the South in the summer, brush hog is both what you have to do and what you have to do it with. Just last week, I heard that our brush hog man, Joe, once peed in his boss's gas can to stretch out the fuel. Do not tell him I told you, said my source, so I will not. Nor will I tell Joe I'm telling his tale of Tom, our neighbor, a yarn involving youth, a pretty waitress, some roadkill slapped on the counter, and too much beer. But I can share the story told by a gentleman, a veteran of the First Great War living at the old city hospital, a covered dish social at church on a warm June night before the war, before TVs or telephones or Model Ts. After supper, the parents tucked the tiny ones into quilts in the wagons, the babies lulled to sleep by the stomping of horses' hooves, the jingling of harnesses. The big boys then switched the children, so the Sanfords took home the Valines boys, and their little girl went to the Youngs. The Whitley baby went to the Werners' warm kitchen, while theirs went, well, you get the picture. We got a whooping, of course, he said, but it was worth it to hear the hollering. These are not some preachy plots of stuffy classics nor parables from the Bible, just little stories to say we grew up okay, mostly, and lived to swell the tale. Then I thought I would read the title poem of the book called Small Comforts. It's a reflections on 2009. If you lived here then, you remember the ice storm. And other things happened so that our family still calls it the bad year. Small Comforts. We dug Oz's grave in the north flower bed a year before he died softly of old age. On the day before his last, we squirted whipped cream right in his mouth. He was so happy. And wrapped the blanket to see his muzzle before we tucked him into the earth and covered him with a clean white sheet of lime and a thick quilt of good black dirt in which I planted 9 jonquils, small ones like him. 2. Some part of every tree broke, every tree. Trunks and great branches crashing down throughout the night, crushing our homes and any hope that things might ever be better. Smaller branches bending, snapping apologetically, unable to bear the weight of 2 days of ice and leaving no uncovered spot big enough for the dog to go when he had to. The next day, the trees surviving stood like veterans or war orphans in cruel and suitably lovely glitter, their limbs oddly bent like compound fractures. The cashier would have stayed in the warm store, but he had dogs and chickens. Each day he made the round trip, 60 miles. I bought enough cans of corn, coffee, and cat food for a decade to stop daily and exchange our new greeting. Got power yet? On day 19, before I spoke, he smiled. 3. On Sunday morning, moments after services had begun at Reformation Lutheran Church, Dr. Tiller, who was acting as an usher, was shot once with a handgun. New York Times. In the silent moment between prayer and song, the shot that killed was not, as she thought, a hymnal dropped. She was the second to him in the entry, but there was nothing she as doctor could do. Nothing but soothe his wife, Jeannie, and wipe her face with a warm, wet cloth and deliver later fresh cinnamon rolls warmed. 4. Late afternoon, late October, I walked as I often do, but not far, before returning for my white cotton sweater, light but just enough across my shoulders against the season's chill. The next one I'm going to read is kind of a combination of Kansas and Farmington. If I can find it. Here it is. Because the cemetery is in Farmington. Why plant flowers on a stranger's grave? No other but her little grave bears their surname. Our baby Adeline, 1911. Were they traveling down on their luck, abandoning a dream? Mama's Aunt Mamie lost their toddler 2 years before they lost the farm. Kansas Dust Bowl winds blew their good black soil east, and they fled west, where Uncle finally found working building the Grand Coulee Dam. Please, she said, would you sometimes put a flower on his grave so I'll know he's not been forgotten? The worst was leaving him behind. So, baby Adeline, the flowers are for you and for young Kansan Claire and for all children who left before it was fair and who were left behind because life isn't. Here's another Kansas one coming up. It's called Along New Highway 81. In my view west, driving north, some Yorkshire pigs stood on the second floor looking south. No walls blocked their sight. They could look east with a slight turn of their eyes. In another century, blonde children slept here while their mama made biscuits, holding her round cutter by its little wooden handle, red wooden handle. In another world, Pawnee youth with long legs ran each year through the auburn prairie grass to the southwest on their spring adventure. In another generation, any memory of the vanishing Kansas farmhouse will be windblown, weathered as the red handle in black dirt. But in that moment, just north of Concordia, those pigs looked happy. And one more Kansas one. This is called Impossible Dreams. I was 2 and TV was new when I met Annette, the Mouseketeer. When I was 3, it was clear to me Annette was aging, needed to be replaced. So I learned her songs, dances, and was free, ready for the call. At 4, Annette was out my door, and I flew with Peter Pan. We threw 2 cans of chow to any hungry dog. By 6, my reverie was to be an ice skater, to stun and impress in my short little dress, ready to twirl and leap at any sleepover, recess, or school to-do. When 8, my gate had opened wider, and I wanted to have been the writer who penned My Fair Lady, gracefully bowing to accolades. One might want to say my young dream, solid and good, became the firm ground upon which my maturity stood. But each dream had a ruinous fault. Walt couldn't see Kansas from his studio and didn't know I was good to go. Hungry dogs can't open a can, and Tinkerbell swiped my man's affection. Well, while wearing ice skates clamped on with a key, my problem was always going to be I can't skate. My Fair Lady had a copyright. Rather, my dreams gathered to weave a trampoline of stripes, rick-rack polka dots, on which, even with my balance shot, I can still bounce to the clouds and shout, my God, that was fun. Okay, where are we now? The next couple of poems are about the time I worked at City Regional, the newer regional, and there was quite a hill from the parking lot to the building. But also getting there often, I would listen to books on CD, and this is a response to listening to Les Miserables. It's called Elegy for 8 Words. The barricade arose on my dashboard during the daily drive with Petit Gavroche shot in the 44th CD. I left the battlefield of 1832 spinning, my eyes dampened by Hugo's words, the sound of the child hitting the pavement. Heart-pierced, I crossed the parking lot to battle the workday. Like a giant touching the earth, Hugo distorted my orbit of ordinary. Now every door slammed, every box dropped, every heavy footfall, and the child fell again. Against propriety, I touched a gentleman's face in our therapy room. I stared in a baby's eyes and briefly forgot where I was. I adjusted the magnet holding Dave's youngest, securing the photo to his locker, and told him twice on this day of great battle that his boy is beautiful. And the next one's a little poem about going up that hill. It's a steep hill. It's called Missionaries. That it was April made the sleep more cruel. 5 dark days hid the sun. Arrows of ice shot again into my warm neck, melting to a pool just there above my collarbone, drowning all hope that spring would come. But then to lead us came the ducks. As we bent, they opened beaks on extended necks, some spread wings, ducktails wagging, quacking their delight. Oh, blessed day, it is still raining. Rain, lovely rain. Oh, duck luck. Listening, I laughed, baptized with joy, stepping strong with the fervor of the newly converted. And the last 2 are about some of the things about my living in France for a couple of years. I lost my number. I lived in this community for a while, ecumenical kind of community, and then he had to go away after being there a month, and think about it, pray and write a letter back. Why you want it? Well, I want to get it, come back to the U.S. And I didn't know any French when I landed there, so they sent me to a convent, a cloistered convent. But they had a hostess now who would come and talk to you once a day. So this is my experience, called Peaches and Sin. So how was I to know that peach in French is said the same as sin? When Sœur Marie had asked me, but what of sin? She gasped and clenched her teeth when I replied with glee, ah, oui. Now, peaches I like, c'est bon, j'adore. I thought that she'd grown tired like me converting this American and moved to food. But her shocked, huge eyes confirmed her feared analysis. A Protestant. Well, hell, I'm sorry, heck. I'd only been in France a week, and sin was not within my 100-phrase cassette. My soul would need her finest discipline. Yes, I was saved by her. It's only fair that praise be raised to her dictionnaire. Okay, my last one is called Learning to Pray in French. My first try was viens, come, be with me, in the informal conjugation. As I came to know you are already always here, I pruned my prayer to faire voir, show me, make me see, as an apprentice asks a master, respectfully, yet hiding from my responsibility to find you. When I see you now, in the moon, in a mother's gaze, in white tea towels on the line, or in a new poem, or an old hymn, in a kitten's pounce, or in the last marigold before the frost, then I pray, viens voir, come, see what I found, with the thrill of a child, a messy. And thank you all for coming. Thank you.
You're hard to follow.
Huh?
You're hard to follow. Okay, restoration represents being restored after not publishing the poetry for so very long. And my daughter helped me publish the book. The first poem is about my son, and he was like 9 when this picture was taken. And I took the poem to Miller Williams, who was having a book signing in like 1995 or so. He read the poem. He said, wow, this is a good poem. This is really good. He said, are you going to publish it? I said, maybe. And I did. So I wanted to bring that out. That's the background. Small town hero. Ever since I was 4, my mom said I'd be a baseball star. Well, I'm 15 now. My friends call me Johnny, and I can sure hit. My bat can smack that old ball clean over the fence, never to be found. Don't try to even look. There's so many of them. Would take someone a whole month to retrieve the treasure. It ain't surprising that when it's my turn up, the girls all come running and shrieking, Johnny's at bat, Johnny's at bat. Words that have become part of the small hero's heart. A boy finding hometown fame. I step up to the plate, hands steady. Squinting both eyes, I lean forward. The pitcher throws fast and true. Ready, I swing with all my might. Connecting hard, my body is shaken. I can take it. Looking up into the deep blue sky, I see that old ball soaring, out of sight, turning into gold as it disappears. I feel so lost. For one moment, 1 hour, timeless, I stand like a man. Slowly, my senses are reawakened. I'm rounding third base. Slow gait to home plate with a smile. I can hear the crowds chant, "It's Johnny at bat. It's Johnny at bat." Okay. The next poem that I want to read is called Hands Folded, and it's a tribute to my mother. Hands Folded. She was from the South, but was not a Southern belle. She's more renowned as a country gal. Her eyes were blue with skin as fair and soft as morning dew. She had tresses of golden brown hair. I gazed at her photograph with tears in my eyes and think she is so much like an Irish lass from storybooks. She used to work the farm in the early morn as the sun was coming up, her slight figure alone at dawn. Her life was spent in hardship and toil. Her hands were calloused and dry from all that was required. Cleaning the barn, feeding the chicks, gathering eggs, and milking, all finished in time for an early breakfast, her 6 hungry brothers and sisters waiting. She, being the oldest, was expected to help her parents daily. Being the oldest, she never failed. Still, her beauty rings true. It strikes me to the depths. I never worked so hard, never had to. Her face looks back at me, soft, beautiful, and willful, hands folded. You think of a Southern girl, but not the work. Her hands are hidden. You cannot tell. They are rough, calloused, and lean. She's a true Southern belle, a sweet country gal, as lovely can be, with hands folded for others to never know or see. Okay, let's see. The next poem is about my children, and I hope I can get through this. This is a hard one. Posterity pose. Their 3 bodies leaned together playfully, and behind them were the irises in bloom, in varying shades of lavender. A tall maple tree with its shadow spreading beyond the camera's range stood patiently in the background. A perfectly bright and sunny day. Nervously holding the Instamatic tight, the sound of the shutter clicked. Once, twice, 3 times. She is hoping for a clear photo to claim of her smiling, teasing, impatient ones. Stop, do not move, just one more, please. Too late. Their pose jumps from a still life frame to 3 chaotic kids running away into the house for one more piece of chocolate cake. There is 1 piece left. How do you divide 1 into 3 equal bites? The youngest grabs and runs. Always a Mother's Day tradition, church, a scrumptious dinner. Pictures taken by the irises. Another celebration. Then, as the children give to Mom, a quiet pose for posterity. The years passing one by one, it's definitely hers to claim. I never can get through it. The years passing one by one, it's definitely hers to claim. Well, we finished early. I don't know what we should do. We could take questions. I could read one more.
Sure, read another. You
Read
only
one
read
more?
3.
Okay, there's a story behind this one. This poem I wrote first for my Creative Writing 1 class. That was in 2001. We had met as a class, went home, 911, went back to class. The teacher said, we're going to do this class. We're going to write poetry. So we did. And this was my first poem. The only thing I have of home. I was born on an Air Force base during the Korean War. This base no longer exists because the government closed it down several years ago. Wars rage on anyhow. The only thing I have of home is a vague memory of Austin. In shadows of what I believe were the University of Texas, where my father was schooled, shadows of railroad tracks, and being carried by his father, who was not. After Korea and the blood, sweat, and tears, my father and mother made a choice and moved with a small daughter, me. I do not remember the move to Florida. Yet I can picture in my mind even today a pair of white lion statues marking the entrance into the university library, where my father studied law, when my mother worked her fingers to the bone. I wonder if the lions are still at guard. Reality is like a memory, remembering the shadows, reflecting what is left of home. It is a simple expression of poetry named me. There are no lion statues at the University of Texas. There are no lion statues at the University of Florida. There is some meaning in the author. My name is De Leon, and that's Spanish for lion. And when I wrote the poem, I wasn't thinking about that. Later, I thought about it because I realized there were no lion statues. I did the research. So this is what happens with poets. They write transcendentally. They write the idea, they write the poem, and later they discover there's more to it than what they write. And this happens with poems, with poets. And the one last thing I wanted to mention, and then I'll be finished. And Ladina, you can read some more if you want to. Here's what I found from Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So it took me a long time to publish this, right? It is not true that people stop pursuing dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing dreams. So, that's it. Did you want to read some more?
Oh, we are kind of early.
We've got time.
Well, I could read it. There's a couple more Farmington ones. Many of you know we have a foster son. He's four-legged. His name's Little Chief. He lived next to us for 6 years, and this is some of his story. Reincarnation of Little Chief. The warm cheer of our holiday visit froze once we saw you, your spine, ribs, hips prominent as winter tree limbs, your eyes only holes in a sunken head. Ransacking the car for more food, I saw our old neighbor who'd found you, folded in the front seat, his tears on his voice. I'm sorry you had to see that. He's lost over 300 pounds. Driving away, and still today, I hate myself for not finding you sooner, and resented any horse with hay or shelter or caregiver who cared. 6 years you'd stayed by us, 1 year taken away, nearly your life. The ice storm came 2 weeks later, 1 day after your rescue. Most of a year passed, a kind couple came. My God, what a beautiful horse. We want him. Your safety secure, my future canted into my mind. Roles reversed in the next life, you his master, not in pursuit of revenge to abuse that beastly man, but easily altering his apathy with apples, a barn, and a red plaid blanket. Why else do we live? And one more quick horse poem, another Farmington horse, called Dead Horse. On her side, unburied, still and bloated, human cruelty, I think, to let her rot and reek so with her partner close by. Next day, dead, bloated horse, not dead, but thin horse, nuzzling and nursing wobbly, long-legged foal. See what I know about horses? Not a lot. You got another one?
Well, I could pick one.
Might as well.
Let's see. This one I wrote way after 9/11, and it takes time, I think, for people to come to terms with something like that. So this is what I wrote. Worldly people. Sometimes people look you in the eye, you know they are truthful. Some avoid your eye, you know they're hiding something. Most people are worldly, looking at you, away from you, gazing towards someone else, leaving you outside their world. Most people place their focus upon false ideas. They don't see the truth or even care to. Their world is a lonely place, and the colors of their universe are outside in hues of green, blue, and gold. They exist inside a globe. They never see green forest, blue oceans, rivers, lakes, or golden deserts in between. They are locked within, prisoners of their own world with earth tones of brown and rust, defining in a close glance their humanity lost. Reflect for a moment of the worldly people you know. Include those who are not that way. Understand your own place in the universe. Replace your despair, if you can, with a prayer for lost humanity restored. It's still early.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
Go ahead.
Rachel wanted you all to ask questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you some embarrassing questions? I'm teasing. Adina, what's your favorite poem? Who is your favorite child?
Well, I'm partial to small comforts because I've, met a lot, Julie.
And you? What is your favorite poem,
What are you asking?
Your
Suzanne?
favorite
What is
poem?
your favorite poem that you wrote?
Oh, by far the first one about small town hero. Mhm. He
How
was
about-
that good. He was that good of a player. But you know what he did? He stopped playing ball when he hit high school because he was too little. He wasn't big enough to play baseball. He was slender. He got on the skateboard. And that was his life for like 3 or 4 years. He and his friend went to the city council and they had a meeting to build a skateboard park, and they did.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was my favorite. Yeah.
How long have you lived in Farmington?
Since '86, I think.
And how many cats have you had?
Oh, gosh. Probably, I'd guess 8 without counting them up. 7. Another one of my favorite poems is Worth the Whooping, because that story that kind old man told me about Switch, that is the best story ever, isn't it? They didn't have to tell, they didn't know who had their baby, you know? Especially new mothers must have been out of their minds, but he was this very calm, polite old gentleman when he told me that. Well, I could read one more. This is a Fayetteville story here. Then we can quit. To the women who attend Quaker worship at the Fayetteville Women's Correctional Facility. We did that for a while. We don't anymore. Were I a tree, I'd be, with my luck, an oak, and one with shriveled dry leaves that cling all winter. Not glorious gold aspen or radiant red maple leaves, but the ones going from green to brown in one cold, wet October day, causing color seekers to sigh and say, well, it was a disappointing year. And with branches breaking sometimes under the stress of ice or snow. And the withered leaves hanging on clear through early April, an unwanted reminder of grim winter amidst the splendor of redbuds, dogwood, and the springly green of any worthy tree. Ladies, for whatever reason you sit in awkward holy silence with us Quakers, I want to tell you this. The force pushing off the old leaves is strong, unstoppable, and coaxes out bold, bright green leaves, forcing the dead ones to the composting earth. Any sadness forgotten in the welcome summer shade. Well, thank you all for coming. Again, do you have anything else?
No.
Well, thank you all.
Done.
It's fun to have people come and listen to you, isn't it?
So just let us know when you want to do this again. Let us know. Let the library know. I enjoyed this immensely. This was my first time to do this.
You read well.
Thank you. Well, I got choked up. I couldn't get it all out. Ladina, I loved yours.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed yours as well.